morning. Welcome to Baha'is Today. I am Anisa Williams, your host for this show on MLTV Mainline Network, brought to you by the Baha'i community of Radnor. This program will focus on initiating a conversation on social change and community building. There will be a series of new talks regularly with guests from the Baha'i community who will share with us their experience on this journey of making the world a better place for all of us. Today, we have with us Dr. Mojdeh Saberine to talk about the Baha'i New Year known as Naw Ruz. Welcome to Baha'is Today, Dr. Saberine.
Thank you so much.
We are already in February of our Gregorian calendar, but for the Baha'i community, this is New Year's, the Naw Ruz New Year, correct?
That is very correct, yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit about Naw Ruz?
So Naw Ruz is the literal translation of New Year in Persian. Naw Ruz has been celebrated for about 5,000 years in countries that were Zoroastrian. It is also the New Year in the Baha'i calendar.
Wow. When is Naw Ruz?
So Naw Ruz happens at the time of the vernal equinox of the northern hemisphere. This is when the earth starts tilting towards the sun. So it's the beginning of spring and usually happens on the 20th or 21st of March. It is also the first sign of the zodiac, which is Aries.
Oh, wow. So it's kind of this spiritual coming about, but also a physical with spring and kind of the renewal of nature. Is that correct?
Absolutely. You got it.
Thank you.
So just like the spring brings with it the rains, and they wash away all the old and bring about new blossoms and no verdant hills and flowers. In the same way, in the spiritual world, when a manifestation of God presents or a founder of the new faith arrives, he brings about new sets of laws and principles to carry forward an everlasting civilization. So Naw Ruz is also a reflection of the celebration of a new faith.
That's awesome. You talked a little bit about the Zoroastrian faith. Is there a difference between the way Persian culture celebrates Naw Ruz and the Baha'i celebrate it, and Zoroastrianism?
Yeah, this can become quite confusing sometimes. So yeah, the Persians, they have a bunch of traditions associated with it. They have something like the Santa Claus associated with it. They jump over fires, they give gifts. And the Baha'is, they don't really have a tradition, and when they get together, it is a festival, a joyous festival, and it consists of devotions, of readings, prayers, but also food, because it follows the month of fast, which is 19 days. Mm-hmm. And also it consists of music, artistic presentations, dance, what have you.
I'm noticing a little bit of an accent. May I ask you where you're from?
I'm from Luxembourg.
Do you notice a difference in how Luxembourg celebrates it versus here or wherever else you've traveled, if you've come across the Naw Ruz in that place?
Yes, so the celebrations, and by the way, Naw Ruz is the only Baha'i holy day that is not associated with an event from the lives of the founders of the Baha'i faith. But we don't have traditions, as I said, so as much. So if you go to Europe or here, you see a different flavor to the celebrations compared with, let's say, the Congo, where I spent Naw Ruz years ago once, where you had more drums and beat and music was much more pronounced than here.
That's awesome. You mentioned that there are 19 days of fasting. Can you tell me a little bit more about what fasting is and why 19?
Absolutely. So in all the major world religions, there's a period of fasting. For instance, in the Christian faith, we have 40 days of Lent. And if you go to some other countries, actually the Christians, they do fast from sunrise to sunset. They don't just give up chocolate. In the Muslim faith, they have 30 days of fasting. And in the Baha'i faith, we have 19 days of fasting and really enjoy Naw Ruz because we have lots of food there.
Yeah, so you're not fasting for 19 days straight, it's the sunrise to sunset.
That's correct, yes.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. And the significance of 19, you mentioned.
Yeah, so 19 is an important number in the Baha'i faith. We see it recur quite a lot. The numerical value of the word Wahid, which means unity, is 19. And unity is a central theme of the Baha'i faith. We believe in the unity of mankind. We believe in the unity of the different religions. We believe in the unity of God, the oneness of God. And it is the goal towards which we're striving for a harassed humanity nowadays. So the days in a month are 19. The months in a year are 19. Every 19 years, we have a cycle called Wahid, which means 19. And every 19 cycles, which is 361 days, we have what's called a Koloshe, which basically means all things. So there's 19, 19, 19.
Yeah,
yes, yeah.
There seems to be a lot of symmetry.
Right, yeah. And when you look at the year, it's a solar year. So 19 months of 19 days brings the number of days up to 361 days. And in order to make it a solar year, we have 4 or 5 intercalary days that are intercepted between the 18th and 19th month, so of the Baha'i calendar. So it is a solar year.
May I ask what intercalary days are?
They are called Ayyamaha. They're basically the extra days of the year to make the year completely solar. And they're days of thanksgiving, of gift giving, of service, of volunteering, of joy, basically.
That's awesome. I was wondering, personally, I know that there's solar and lunar calendars, but I'm not sure the difference exactly what that entails. Do you mind talking about that?
Absolutely. So one of the first signs of scientific research is actually the calendar that we have in human history. And a good civilization needs to have a calendar. So ever since the beginning of humanity, as recorded, we see that different calendars were adopted. The lunar calendar, which was more important in the past because we were following the movement of the moon, is based on the phase of the moon, which is 28.53 days, 29.53, I think. And the solar calendar is based on the movement of the sun. So basically the movement of the earth around the sun, which is 365 and a change.
A quarter, days. Yeah. Do you mind talking a little bit about, so I know obviously we have 12 months in a year, the calendar that we follow, and Baha'is have 19, and it might be a little bit difficult to keep track of that. Do you guys have names for the months?
Yeah. The names of the months are actually the names of attributes of God, the unknowable essence. So the first month is called Baha, which is splendor. The first day of each month is also called Baha, splendor. So the names of the month are the same as the names of the days, in the same order.
And also, does that reoccur for weekdays? Because in the Gregorian, or our calendar, we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Is it similar in the Baha'i faith?
So the Baha'i faith does have a 7-day week. But the week starts on Friday at sunset. And what was the question?
Do they have names?
Or? Yeah, the same names as the names of the month. Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, so some of the names are splendor, glory, sovereignty, dominion, words, questions, glory, and so on.
So it's very virtuous and spiritual.
That is true. So whereas in the Gregorian calendar, the days of the month or the days refer to the sun, the moon, or deities from the Anglo-Saxon religion, or the name of Julius Caesar. Sorry.
No, you're good.
The names in the Baha'i calendar, they refer to basically spiritual qualities.
That's awesome. When did the Baha'i calendar start?
The Baha'i calendar started with the beginning of the Baha'i faith in 1844. So currently we are starting the year 177, which would be the 6th year of the 16th cycle, which is Wahid of the first color Shay.
That's wow. Wow. Okay. So you keep talking about the difference between the Gregorian calendar and the Baha'i calendar. And I know that the Gregorian calendar has had a few tweaks, but why do the Baha'is come, or why have they come and given a new calendar? Is there a reason why they didn't adopt the older one?
Yeah, so there are a lot of different calendars that are still being used around the world. For instance, the Chinese calendar is the longest uninterrupted calendar that we know of. Then there's the Hebrew calendar, which was actually set in the 4th century before Christ. And then there's within the Christian faith, there are different calendars too, because the Orthodox Russian calendar is different. The Orthodox Greek calendar is different too. And given that the central theme of the Baha'i faith is unity, you know, the calendar, the Baha'i faith also goes in line with the theme of unity. And the awesome thing about it is that it was not man-made. It was really ordained by the founders of the faith. And so there's nothing that we need to change about it. And it's really beautifully symmetrical with the 19. And also, did you know that every 19 years, it so happens that the planets of our solar system, you know, the sun and the earth and the other planets basically are pretty much perfectly aligned.
That's
so
awesome.
That's the 19 again.
Wow. There's, a physical manifestation of that. Can you tell me a little bit more about the Roman calendar and kind of how that interplays with the calendar we have?
Sure, absolutely. So the Gregorian calendar was not always what it is right now. It is derived from the Julian calendar, and the Julian calendar is derived from the Roman calendar, and the Roman calendar had a lot of elements from the Greek calendar, and so on and so forth. So going back to the Roman calendar, it was actually not a solar calendar, it was a lunar calendar. And it had 10 months. The year started in March and it ended in December.
Wow, okay.
And the days were 29 or 30 days long, and every now and then they would add a day to stay in sync with the movement of the moon. And then eventually 2 months were added, January and February, because you will never guess, to increase the revenue from taxes, hence the 12 months. Right. And then Julius Caesar came along, and he decided to put away with the lunar calendar and institute a solar calendar. So he tweaked things in the year 46 before Christ. One of the things he did is he instituted a calendar that consisted of 365 days and a quarter of a day. He changed the New Year from March to January 1st. And he also did, because he liked himself very much, he decided that the 5th month of the Roman calendar, Quintilis, should be called Julius, which is now July. And the 6th month, which was Sextilis, became Augustus, according to the emperor, which is August now. So those are the changes he made. And so when the Christ came in that part of the world, the Julian calendar existed. Then 3 centuries later, the Council of Nicaea decided to adopt it, except for the era started during the year 1 AD, which was the year of the birth of the Christ. Another couple of centuries passed, and the abbot of Rome decided to make the New Year back to March 25th, and Christmas December 25th, hence Christmas, because we really don't know when the Christ was born.
So it really flip-flopped.
That's correct, that's correct. But then a few centuries went by, and we became out of sync with the sun, and we were 12 days ahead of schedule. So Pope Gregorius XIII, he decided to get rid of 10 days. So October 5, 1682 was followed by October 15th, 1862.
How did that happen?
It was 10 days gone, so it was the year of confusion. And then he decided to institute the leap years. And he also decided that the years ending on 00 were never going to be leap years unless you could divide them by 400. So 1700 was not a leap year, 1800 was not a leap year, 1900 was not a leap year, but 2000 was a leap year. Also, he changed the New Year back to January 1st, obviously. And that's what we have right now. It's pretty precise, but every 3,323 days, we will be one day off with the sun.
So it sounds like our calendar has been tweaked quite a bit.
Quite a bit, and we always take it for granted. Nobody ever asks, how did we ever get to this? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Baha'i calendar, I find it absolutely beautiful because it's marvelously simple. And the holy days that we have are 9 in number. And they are true holy days during which time work and school is suspended. And they commemorate or they celebrate religious events as opposed to, paying homage to the gods of the Romans or war-related themes.
So coming kind of back to Naw Ruz, this is the momentous occasion in which the calendar starts. Mm-hmm. Is that correct?
The beginning of the year. That's correct.
Do you have any other holidays throughout the year that kind of commemorate in the same way, or is it simply Naw Ruz that does that?
So there are other joyous days. There are 3 days that celebrate the beginning of the Baha'i faith. Their birthdays and their ascensions or martyrdoms.
Also going back a little bit, because I know that so many different others also celebrate Naw Ruz. Do Baha'is and Persians celebrate them together at times, or are they separate?
Yes and yes.
Okay.
So Persians, most Baha'is in the world are not Persians. So they don't do the jumping over the fire and all that. But if I happen to be Persian and I want to give it a little Persian twist or Assyrian twist, I may jump over those fires.
So it's very much an interfaith, intercultural gathering?
Yeah, I mean, the Baha'is, when they get together, it's usually a Baha'i holiday celebration.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you guys are allowed to go to other places, though?
Of course.
Okay, awesome.
Of course.
Furthermore, is it also an intergenerational thing?
Meaning, do we have children? Absolutely. Children are considered to be the most prized possession a community can have. And so children are usually an integral part of the celebration of Naw Ruz. And I just remember with fondness the celebration of Naw Ruz as I was growing up.
What are some of the kinds of things that you did at Naw Ruz when you were a child?
And I got new clothes.
Okay.
But I mean, that's not traditional. It's just what my parents did. And I just remember sunshine, and I associate Naw Ruz with spring and flowers and good food and celebration.
I'm sure it must have a lot of good food if it's a party and such. Growing up from when you were a child, how has it changed? Both, I guess, culturally, because you moved from Europe to here, but also kind of as you've grown up, have you experienced Naw Ruz in a different way? Or is it similarly?
Not really. I mean, every year is different. The community in every locality decides what they want to do. So you may have a dance presentation one year, you may have singing a different year, and everybody's welcome, actually, So I always try and get my friends to come and join in the celebration. That's
amazing. Thank you so much for being here and talking about Naw Ruz and the celebration coming up quite soon, right? March 20th?
20th this year, yes. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
And that's all for today. Hope you liked this conversation. You can visit us at www.mainlinebahais.org for more information. Thank you so much. There will be a short video playing, and I guess we'll cut to that right now.